What's poppin', YouTube? Y'all tuned in to the Head of the Game podcast. Welcome to the channel. Y'all have already seen the title, so let's go ahead and get right into it. This is my overall point of view and perspective about what is true manhood. Because there's a lot of definitions and a lot of point of views and ways of looking at it. Through different prisms and stuff like that. But my 31 years on this earth, this is pretty much what sums it up through my experience, my personal experience, and from what I've heard and what I was just overall, experienced altogether. The number one thing, far as the true meaning of manhood, is really not, and I'm about to get into it right now. It's really the art of being alone. Uh, the art of being alone. Now, it's not like saying deprive yourself or compromise yourself to a certain extent to where you're not being healthy about it, or you're overexerting yourself to try to achieve a certain kind of goal. It's really more so about um, having getting over a certain train of thought, um, really just being in that mental space where you can stand on your own and you really ain't got to depend on nobody else, right? So one thing is what helps you with the art of being alone really is going to solidify your manhood is because for one, you won't develop a dependency complex, right? um, for two, you won't be compromising yourself over what you have or what you don't have, or vice versa, what somebody has or what doesn't have. You won't feel so enticed or entitled or obligated to help somebody else out, only with a good amount of being able to make that judgment call, right? Another thing is being the art of being alone. It's not to say like you got to be a hermit or somebody that's just antisocial, but pretty much having the ability to isolate yourself if need be, if you feel like something is getting too close of compromising your bottom line on what you pretty much stand for, right? So that goes into having the ability to say no, right? To anyone for any reason that you feel that fits need to be done, and you're willing to take anything that comes along with that. You're willing to pay any price, to stand on what you stand for, the parameters and the boundaries that you set for yourself, that you feel like what you need. And another important thing of the art of being alone is also uh, self-identification. When you're going through certain trials and tribulations, you start to really fill out who you are, your strengths and weaknesses, through not what you have but what you don't have, and you know making just do what just the bare minimum of just what you are, down to the common denominator, right? So here's another preconceived misconception about manhood, right? Because a lot of people want to talk about, um, and it's a little bit of it, but it wouldn't rank on the top of the list, which is whether you have a good social status, you're very good with people, or you have a lot of money and resources, or you're good with women, right? So um, this is the perception, or what's in society, how what a man is supposed to be, right? Um, yeah, you're supposed to be able to provide. Yeah, you're supposed to be able to not only just provide, but impact your community, or just be an asset or something for people to be able to look up to, right? That's all fine and great, but that does not come before who you are, and what you stand for. And as selfish as that may sound, that's pretty much the core value of being a man's man. You feel me? You're selfish within what you stand for, and you only can you only allow people to interact with you with inside that prism. You feel me? If you're real, you're authentic, you're straightforward, and it's not being straightforward just to get the approval of others. It's more so what you give off, and you have a take it or leave it, cut and dry. Just that matter of fact attitude towards who you keep around in your social circle, who you interact with altogether, right? So another thing is also, in this world, with human nature, most people try to, as humans, we're very flawed. We're very flawed. We're very flawed individuals altogether. That's why it's easier to fall than it is to stand, per se. So with that being said, the most important things about you are going to be the things that you do the least, but when you do them, you apply the most intensified. It's where your intentions lies. But what you expend most of your energy on is constantly shaving off of what you're not, right? Because it goes back to my first point about that being that, being human and the things that come along with that. You're gonna have it's a lot of deficits. It's more weaknesses than strengths. So you gotta identify your strengths to overcome your weaknesses, right? Also, another thing is when you're on this journey of self-discovery, don't be trying to sit up there and prove a point to people, or have them like you got something to prove. Really, because then you then set an unrealistic. I don't even want to say unrealistic. It doesn't even matter if you can achieve it. It's unwarranted because it's unnecessary. You feel me? You really ain't gotta prove nothing to nobody at the end of the day, because you're the person you gotta live, wake up and go to sleep to, right? So with that being said, because then it creates a narrative. If you don't achieve so and so or whatever you're trying to get, and you're setting an invested standard into someone, then you're gonna have to come up with an excuse, And if you're an excuse kind of person, then that kind of definitely, compromises out of how a person, perceives you. Because what is the, well, sometimes you get disappointment through expectation. You feel me? You set those unwarranted expectations, things that you don't really feel like you have to do, or that's outside of who you are, and it's really unnecessary, waste of time. Another thing about manhood, I'm gonna leave it at this. Honestly, this is gonna be you gotta listen slowly to be able to capture this one. You want to stay away from not, like I said, only to a healthy extent, but you want to be a disciplinary orientated kind of person, meaning that you don't want to be stuck in your ways, being complacent and being too comfortable, because then if you don't allow